Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Thank you for your support. Class is in session. Hey there, Rulers. DMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for this week. This is the Dark Alice Crystals list that you saw Paul play earlier. It is, again, a very basic starting shell on what Dark Alice's mechanic is. We wanted to show you this before we got into anything a little bit more in depth. So we're going to quickly run through this list and just kind of talk about how this deck works. Ultimately, it is kind of a more mid-range deck, applying pressure through a lot of quick cast resonators and things like Schrodinger, and then using something like Shadow X to kind of, like, you keep your life high with Mage Jack and then kind of punish them and push them through for lethal with Shadow X, or Shadow Swordsmaster to kind of clear the board and push through for lethal. It's kind of a basic shell of what crystals are kind of being used for, without being like all in specifically on like the Card Soldier package. So obviously our ruler is Dark Alice. On her front side, we can gain Darkness Crystals and Light Crystals when we get those Regalia, which is super great. On her back side, we get to do the Fairy Tale when it enters, as well as getting to banish Light Crystals to give Eternal and Barrier, banish Darkness Crystals to wipe Resonators off the board, and then recur our hand with that God Art, which is very, very nice. So then going into the Stone deck, we're playing 4 Atarakti's Memoria, 4 Heaven's Rift, 1 Light Magic Stone, 1 Darkness Magic Stone. This is to make sure we always have Darkness Light on turn 2. You could play Black Moon Memoria if you wanted here, just to be able to potentially awaken Black Moon Ray. Ultimately, it's your call. Going quickly into the deck, obviously we're playing 4 copies of Unknown Mother Goose. We're also playing Joan d'Arc, Heroine of Shadow here. You can probably replace this with Yggdrasil, but this helps you grab things like World of the Dark Alice, Nightmare Knight, Schrodinger, Shadow Swordsmaster. It just gives you some other things to be able to grab other than your Regalia, while also generating crystals when you banish it. So it's kind of your choice, as well as if you manage to get Yggdrasils. If you have them, we'd recommend playing them. If not, the Joan d'Arc works well enough. Then 4 copies of Mage Jack and Shadow X. Obviously, these are great cards. Mage Jack less so than Shadow X, because Shadow X actually deals lethal, but Mage Jack is nice to be able to keep in your life and make use of light crystals to keep yourself alive. Shadow Swordsmaster, an amazing card, technically costs 2 very, very early, is a big beater, can help clear your opponent's board and draw you cards, which is excellent. 2 copies of Nightmare Knight, pretty much just so that we can get it off of Dark Alice's flip if we need to. We don't want to run too many copies of it. Nothing really much else to say than this card, other than that it is a tempo card, which is very kind of helpful. 3 copies of Schrodinger. This card is an absolute beast. Helps us flicker Regalia, get more crystal triggers. Also helps us make use of the crystal triggers the most effectively, because we're suddenly putting out this 10/10 body that has a bunch of keywords that can just put a lot of pressure on your opponent for lethal sometimes. 4 copies of Schrodinger's Cry for removal, and 4 copies of Dark Alice Smile for that early game discard. Kind of sculpting your opponent's hand is very, very helpful, especially since it RFGs. It's very, very nice. Shadow Strike as a removal option that can turn into removing for 2 things, which is awesome. Black Moon Ray for some J-Ruler hate, and then 3 copies of World of Dark Alice for board clears, extra crystal generation if we need it, as well as into being able to remove opponent's Regalia, and another way to find our own Regalia. So this is an excellent little addition there. So that is the list. There's lots of different ways you can build it. You'll actually see a different take on it this coming week in the feature match that we're excited to show you. And let us know what you guys have been trying to do with Dark Alice. We'd be interested to hear about that. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with her cards, both fun and competitive wise, so I'd be interested to see it. But until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.